Hello and welcome to Lancashire Mind's How to Cope with Change. Grab a pen and paper if you can. You might want to take some notes. Feel free to pause at any time. So today we're going to talk about how to cope with change, specifically focusing on your well-being during coronavirus. So what is change? It's a very simple word and it's a word that we're all used to saying, but what does it actually mean for our well-being? So during your life, there'll be times where change will affect your usual routine. And change can be a good thing because it can help us to learn and grow. But change can affect us all differently, and what we may find easy to handle one day, we may not feel the same another day. All of these feelings are okay and perfectly healthy. So let's look at some examples of change. Things like moving from primary to secondary school. That's something that most of us will have experienced, but how that change affects us is different depending on who you are. Things like changing the location of the school as you move up, changing teachers, changing routine, all those kind of things can affect us very differently. Going on school trips or holidays, it's a really exciting thing to do, but knowing that you're leaving your family behind for a short period of time, possibly travelling to somewhere that you don't know that might have a different culture, it can be very, very nerve-wracking and is seen as a change. Parents separating. Now this isn't something that we all go through and experience. However, when we do, it will inevitably bring around huge change. Change in family dynamics, who's in your home, whether or not you then have two homes. It can all be very, very daunting and is a change that is often not welcomed. And because of that, it can be very, very emotionally draining. So what are some of the changes that you may be experiencing right now? You might be experiencing changes in people's behaviour. You might be noticing that how they are behaving now might not be typical of what you usually see. And this is because everybody is experiencing change and everybody will be reacting to it differently. You're probably experiencing a different school routine as well and probably learning from home. This will obviously be a massive change and probably one of the biggest in terms of how you're feeling. Getting used to a completely new routine, having to learn in different ways and having to rely on digital services a lot more to gain the information of what you should be learning. All of this is completely different to how you would have learned before. Also things like changes in parent-carer work patterns. So as you are at home more and learning, you'll notice that your parents might have to change their work patterns slightly. This again is change. General changes in terms of how you're feeling will happen. We're being inundated with information all the time, and this information can be easy to digest or it can be quite confusing. Another change that a lot of us are experiencing are changes to our social life. So we're not able to see our friends as much as usual, and we're having to think of new ways to be able to see them and connect with them. This then means that we'll be spending even more time online and video calling, texting, messaging. What other changes can you think of? So when these things are changing around you, how can this affect you and how can it make you feel? Change can make you feel upset and tearful. With all this change that's happening, it can be very confusing. And if you find yourself feeling upset and feeling like you want to cry, that is absolutely fine and a completely natural reaction to change. Another feeling that you could be experiencing is feeling stressed. And this is a natural reaction in situations like these. We could also feel confused. There's a lot going on and we're being given daily updates on what's happening. And because we're experiencing change on a daily basis, it could mean that we feel very easily confused. Just understand that we are all going through the same thing and we're all as confused as each other, but we will get through it. As we go through this lockdown together, we will all no doubt feel a little anxious. We don't know after all when the lockdown is going to end, and not knowing when something's going to end can naturally make you feel anxious. We might also feel a little sad during lockdown. With all of these restrictions and limitations on our normal lives, we can miss the things and the people that we can no longer have access to. And we might feel angry or frustrated. As we experience things that we have no control over, it can be quite natural to feel irritable and frustrated by it. But it's important to recognise those feelings. It's really important to understand that during these uncertain times, you may find yourself feeling fine one day, but not the next. This is normal. And how you feel may not be how others feel. This is your normal, and it's completely okay. So we are going to help you plan what to do on the days that you don't feel your best. So we've gone through how it feels when we're impacted by change. But now we're going to look at how can you deal with change. Can you think of a time when you've experienced a big change? Pause this if you need to. Have a really good think. Got it? Now, think about how you cope with that change. Write it down. And what steps did you take to cope? Sometimes finding ways to cope can be hard to think of, even if we've had experiences of change before. So there is a simple exercise you can do. So here at Lancashire Mind, we call these the circles of worry. You have 2 circles here. The circle on the left are the things that you can control. And on the right are things that you can't control. So I've done as a quick example. Things like having a positive mindset, you can control that. And by mindset, this means whatever is thrown at you in life, you choose to deal with it and tackle it head on in a positive way. Things like being creative with the extra time at home. Being creative keeps your brain healthy. Things like turning off the news or limiting exposure to news. How to help others. When we help others during difficult times, it not only makes them feel better and helps them, but it also makes you feel better too. Things like asking for help. And this can be with everyday things that you might need help with, but it's also to do with how you're feeling. It's very, very important that you have someone in your life that you can share how you're feeling with. Self-care to stay mentally and physically well. We all have responsibility over ourselves and how we can take care of us. So thinking about what means something to you and how you can take care of yourself is incredibly important right now. Limiting time on social media. We need to balance our connections online versus offline. So it's important to think about how long you're spending online. It's really important to stay connected with friends when we're having to live in our own homes and can't see them. That is really important. But think about the people that you are living with and how you can spend more time with them. How to stay safe and follow guidelines. So that's really easy. You can control that. You can keep an eye on what the guidelines are and make sure you stick by them. Okay, so now the things that we can't control. Things like predicting when lockdown will end. We can try and predict and then get frustrated when it's not right, but there's no use doing that because we can't control it. Things like how others follow the rules. We can't control that. We just have to focus on ourselves. Things like how social media portray events. It's really important to properly look at these events that we read about online and to question them and not always take them as face value. How others react. Again, we're only responsible for ourselves here, so how others choose to react and behave is up to them. The next one are things like how you're learning compared to how others are learning. So you might still be in contact with your fellow pupils and might see that they're learning things either at a different rate or in a different way to you. But it's important that you continue to learn in the way that is most beneficial. And lastly, things like other people's opinions of you. Right now, we are all going through change and we're all trying to cope with change, which means that we'll all be behaving slightly differently. So here are your circles of worry. You'll find this as a document where you found this video. So in your own time later on, I really encourage you to have a go. So from Lancashire Mind, these are our top tips to manage change. Talk to someone that you trust. Whether it's someone that you already know online or offline, make sure that you have someone that you can tell them how you feel, and also ask them how they're feeling too. Next is focus on the consistent things. There will no doubt still be some things in your daily routine that have stayed the same. And there'll be some things in your life that have stayed the same too. So celebrate those things. Next is focus on the things you want to change. This might be an opportunity for you to think about how you're living and what things you actually want to change or develop. Next is look after your well-being, and we're going to go through that now. So, what is well-being? Well-being simply means how you are coping. And good well-being is taking care of your thoughts, your feelings and emotions, as well as your physical health. They all affect each other. So how you are physically can affect how you're feeling and vice versa. So it's very, very important that when you're thinking of your well-being, think about it as an entire thing. So why worry about your well-being right now? Well, focusing on your well-being can help you handle change better. At Lancashire Mind, we have a campaign called Happier Lancashire. And within that are the 5 ways to well-being. And it's a really, really simple system that you can use to understand how to look after yourself. So first up is connect. So this is connecting with family and friends. Think about it, your family and friends, they help you feel valued. And when you can tell them how you feel, that makes you feel better. And that helps your well-being. But connect is really important, it works both ways. So making sure that everybody around you is okay also helps your own well-being. The second of the 5 ways to well-being is called be active. And this doesn't necessarily mean high endurance workouts. This just means getting up and moving around. That little bit extra energy can help move those happy hormones around your system and help boost your well-being. Next is take notice. So taking notice of the things around you and how you're feeling is a critical part of you feeling well. So things like mindfulness. You might have heard of that word. Mindfulness is simply stopping still and looking at what's around you and feeling what's around you. So thinking about your senses. What can you see? What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you hear? And what can you feel? But then also being mindful of how you're feeling internally as well. And some people even journal or write in a diary. And so the reason why this is really effective is because it's telling a different part of your brain about how you're feeling and boosts well-being. The next one, keep learning. So although you're learning all the time because you're in school, this doesn't mean that you can't learn elsewhere. I always talk about how important it is to have passions. So this might be something like listening to music or even playing your own instrument. It could mean learning a language. It could mean learning how to publish your own videos on YouTube. Anything like that where you've got to pick up new skills is fantastic. It helps to keep your brain healthy. And the final one is give. So this means giving to others, and it doesn't always mean raising loads of money for charity. It just means giving people either your time or even just giving compliments and encouragements. Have a quick think back to the last time you got a compliment. How did this feel? I bet it felt great. How did it feel when you last gave somebody else a compliment? I bet it felt great too. So it's really important to think about how you can give back and give back to the immediate people around you. As I've said before, you're all going through the exact same thing right now. This lockdown is affecting all of us. So it's important that we are connecting and giving back to the other people around us. So simple. Those are the 5 ways to well-being. Connect, be active, take notice, keep learning, and give. So what are your 5 ways to well-being? Everybody's 5 ways will be different. So what we've done here is we have produced you a blank document that you can fill out your own. So far you have your circles of worry and your 5 ways to well-being. But what else can you do? Here we have one of my favourites, Wellbeing Bingo, and you can completely make your own. So the idea is that you fill out a grid. Here we've got 12 different boxes, and in there we put things that we know are going to benefit our own well-being. So things like treat yourself, go to bed early, practice mindfulness, or my favourite, spend time in nature. And so as we do these throughout a week, we tick the box off. And so what we hope to do by the end of the week is to get bingo on every single one. So try your own Wellbeing Bingo and play along. Next we have something called Hunt the Good Stuff. It can be hard sometimes to focus on the positive things around you, especially when you are going through a big change. So writing the positives down actually controls a different part of your brain that can boost your mood. So Hunt the Good Stuff is a weekly diary, and it doesn't have to be paragraphs and paragraphs. Here it's simply 7 boxes. And in each box you write down 3 different things of something good that's happened that day. And it's as simple as that. It's a very, very simple way of journaling. So if you're not one for writing things down, but you feel like you need to feel more positive, this is a very, very good tool. So we've covered some really good stuff today. We've covered what change is, how it might feel, and how you can cope. We've looked at the circles of worry. We've looked at the 5 ways to wellbeing, looked at Wellbeing Bingo, and Hunt the Good Stuff. But what if that's not enough for you right now? What if you feel like you need help? Well, there's a couple of places you can go. So you can call Childline on 0800 1111, or you can contact them online as well. So this is a really, really easy chat to one-to-one counselling service, and everything is 24 hours and completely confidential. So if you just feel like you just need to have a chat with somebody, go for it. That is what they are there for. You can also go to lancashiremind.org.uk. On there is advice for coronavirus and mental health in general. Have a little look at that. Also, why not visit giveusashout.org or couth.com. They are great resources that can help you and have services where they can contact you one-to-one. So today we've talked about the lockdown and how it's a big change, but we've also talked about how it is continuing to change and we need to keep up with information. So if you do want to keep up to date with what we're doing, you can find us online. We have Instagram, we have Twitter, and we have Facebook. So if you want to find us, we are at Lancashire Mind. So we're coming to the end of how to cope with change. I hope it's all made sense. I hope you've got some great notes. And later on, when you do have time, please do those activities. They will be really, really helpful for you. And share them with other people as well. And why not play the Wellbeing Bingo with other people too? So at Lancashire Mind, we believe in better mental health for all. And we want to end with a nice quote. Every day may not be a good day, but there is good in every day. Thank you.